I'm with Dave Miller, head coach of the Fairmont Firebirds. Coach, we're past the halfway point now in the season. Still got some tough competition to go through yet.
Yep.
First of all, let's review the Wayne victory. 61 rushes for almost 400 yards, over 5 yards per carry, and no pass attempts. In this situation, how tempting is it to even call a pass play?
We try to take what they give us, and when we're doing that on the ground, we're not going to do it. you know, as much as people want to see us throw, we can do it. Obviously, we showed that a week ago. It's a matter of taking what the defense gives us, and if we're able to do what we did Friday, then we're in pretty good shape, and not having to risk something like that. That plays into their strength too. I mean, they're good at defending the pass. That's what they're kind of built to do. So. That works into the game plan too as well. But
it's a little frustrating for them than when you don't pass.
Probably. I think their DBs are pretty talented, so they prefer us to put it up. But good for us for being able to do that.
Doty, Baker, and Patton get credit for the running game, but the offensive line dominated. Who are some of the players that made it happen?
Well, you had O-line, you said it. Brett Fuller had a really good game, probably graded out the best of our linemen. We had Luke Young and Jonathan Gwizdak, rotating in at guard. Griffin Chromick has played great, a tackle all year, right there with Fuller. Taven Gifford, and then our center, Braden Feltner, not the biggest guy, very strong, but quick, but just getting it done up front. And then you got to add in our tight ends, Jacob Lightcap, Ben McElvain as a sophomore stepping in there, because Luke Cheatwood going down, the previous week, did a great job too. They're tight ends; we can throw it to them, but like we said, we didn't really need to throw or didn't choose to throw. So those guys really did a nice job. And then you got to add in our Z back. Nolan Stringer, who's done a great job all year, kind of as a blocking back. He can also run the football too, pretty talented. We can throw to him as well. And then Cameron Thornton, he was in there, and I think his presence there, just running outside on motions, you could tell that they were concerned about him from what he did the week before on the edge. So, it gives him a lot to prepare for, and that's good.
Defensively, what more could you ask for a first play, a defensive strip that led to a touchdown? What did you see that forced the turnover by Wayne's Everett Brown?
Well, Jack Probasco, we had to move to strong safety, did a nice job coming up and stripping, him of the ball and recovered his own fumble and advanced it down to the 1 yard line, set us up, for an easy score there. That's huge. You jump on a team that with the talent that they have right off the get-go, that kind of puts doubt in their mind and helps us with momentum and things like that. They obviously battled back, but that was a great way to start.
Overall, defensively, other than giving up 2 long touchdown plays, how pleased were you with the results?
Really, really pleased. I mean, they're down a couple quarterbacks. We talked about that last week. That makes it hard on them, but they have talent. I mean, the speed in that in their offense is off the charts. You mentioned Everett Brown. He's getting recruited by everybody in the country. I think he's leaning toward Ohio State right now. So even though he's a sophomore, very talented young man, and they have a bunch of them with him. The quarterback is a wideout right now, but he can fly. So yeah, those 2 big plays are things showed us things we have to work on. But overall, we held up pretty well. Against pretty talented, potent offense. Despite being down a couple quarterbacks. So pretty good job.
So now comes a home game against Miamisburg. The Vikings beat you last year 28-17. How much do you bring this up in practice as motivation for revenge?
Well, we talk about it, and I think that was one of the games last year. We went out and they out-physicaled us. I didn't think we came to play. They did. Hats off to Coach Schneider and his staff. They had them ready to play, and I know they're going to be ready to play Friday. They do a great job over there. So we're going to have to be ready to go. Like you mentioned, every week in the G-Walk is just a meat grinder. So there are no weeks off. I wouldn't want it any other way, but we have to prepare, every bit as well or better than we did last week for what we're going to be challenged with on Friday.
The quarterback last year was Preston Barr, but he's graduated. What are your impressions of Landon Henry, who has thrown for 600 yards, and the sophomore Bettendorf, who played last week?
Well, they're both talented, and the starter went down against Springfield. I think the last play on offense, maybe. It's funny. I played with Titus's dad. We played semi-pro together, Tony. So that's kind of a familiar name there, Bettendorf. But very talented. His dad was too. So it runs in the family. And that was his first start. So obviously. Made some mistakes last week, but I know Coach Snyder well enough to know that they're going to correct those things, and that kid's going to be really good. And the starter, we assume he's going to be back. Either one we have to deal with. They present problems for you on defense, with what they do offensively. They do a lot of things, and they do a lot of things pretty well. There's a lot of formations that we have to prepare for, so our defensive staff especially has their work cut out for them, and we do too. Defensively, they have some kids. There's a couple of them, one 6'6", 240. The other kid's 6'7", 260. I don't know where they get those guys down there, but we're going to have to do, like I said, we're going to have to prepare really well to have a shot at them.
And you mentioned last week about rotating in your JV and freshman players for the varsity game. Is that going to kind of continue this week, you think?
Well, when you're fortunate enough to do that, that's a rare opportunity for us. We got in a situation at the end of that game that we could get some kids in. We're usually not in that situation. Our JVs and freshmen play on Saturdays. So that was, that means we're either doing things pretty well or we're on the other side of not so well if you're going to rotate them in. But, it's going to be what it's going to be. We're in for a tough one. I already know that. They play us, very tough. We had a really good football team in 22, and we had to beat them on a 4th down play, a 4th and 10 with a pass with like 17 seconds to go. So we know what's up. So our kids, but like I said, honestly, that's it wouldn't happen any other way, because when you start playing inferior talent, nothing really good comes from that. So thank goodness for the GWAC. It makes you have to prepare, and it's these teams are well coached. They have talent. So it gets you ready for postseason and things like that. But more importantly, it's just each week is a meat grinder, and it keeps your kids' focus where it needs to be. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and playoffs are not that far away anymore. Just a few weeks.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's there. I mean, just at this point, I don't even mention it before. It's one of those things that most everybody gets in. So it's we're focused on Miamisburg, believe me. But there's a lot that goes into a season. We always talk about start to finish. We want to finish with our best effort on the field on Friday night, whatever that is. And I even go back to last year. I thought that group, despite the record, really finished about as well as any of our teams have here, just with where they came from, and where they finished up. So that's always the goal, for us to max out on potential, and, hopefully we're headed that direction.
all right, Coach, that's all I have for you for this week. I want to wish you good luck on Friday.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it, Norm.
I'm with Lance Snyder, the head football coach, I should say varsity football coach for the Miamisburg Vikings. And I have a couple questions for you here. When you lose a quarterback like Preston Barr, who threw 1,500 yards last year, did you have to install an entirely new offense system or for Landon Roberts?
It hasn't been totally changed. We're not as complex as we were last year. But for the most part, it's the same concepts that we've been using before. It's just we miss Preston more in the fact that when things broke down, he could save us a lot of time, and that's what we miss more than anything.
Roberts got some time under center last year. Can you assess how he's done so far and why the switch to sophomore Bettendorf last week?
Landon's actually played pretty well, but he got a concussion against Springfield, and that's why we had to go with the sophomore last week. So we had to really water things down for him. But Landon got 3 games under his belt at the end of last year, won 2 of them, one being a playoff game, and he's done a good job for us this year so far. the biggest thing with our quarterbacks, we just tell them, make sure you're not getting us beat by giving the ball away to the other teams, and he's done a real good job of that.
Your top wideout is Hunter Durr. What makes him so effective?
He's a big-bodied kid, runs routes really well, and catches the ball really well. We've missed him here the last 2 games because he's kind of been out with an ankle, but he should be back this week and ready to go.
Who are some of your top defenders, starting with top tackler sophomore Josh Brodnick?
Yeah, Josh is a really good safety for us, very physical kid, not very big, but is always where he's supposed to be. The strength of our defense is our defensive line. Jalen Johnson and Kevin McKinney are 2 tackles that do a great job. Marshawn Gregory Bay and Eli Kinney are defensive ends. Those guys do a really good job up front for us. And then Chris Ngo and Colton Lemons are our inside backers, and they're 2 juniors that are very physical and run the ball real well for us.
As far as Fairmont, 62 runs and no passes last week. You know what they're going to do, so how do you prepare for their rushing attack?
Well, Dave's always done a great job with his offense, and I think it's one of the best offenses that he's had. It seems like the quarterback does a really good job of running the ball, making the reads when he does, but I know Dave's going to throw it against us. He always has, and they look like they can do that now when they have to. Last week they didn't really need to because they were humming on all cylinders. But I know he's got some tricks, so we'll be ready for it.
Finally, do you stack the line because they have shown against Centerville that they can be effective at passing?
Well, that's the issue is, if they can throw it and run it, they're really dangerous. So we just got to do a really good job of reading our keys. We played a similar offense last week, so we've learned some lessons from that. And, it's just being disciplined and doing what you're coached to do and do your job every play.
So I asked Coach Miller this question earlier today, but as you lose people here and there for concussions or whatever the case may be, are you able to rotate in like junior varsity or freshman into the play?
Well, that was the problem last week is offensively we started 7 sophomores and a freshman. And I just found out today the freshman's birthday's today, and he just turned 14, so I started a 13-year-old last week in a varsity game. So, yeah, that's the biggest issue right now is concussions seem to be off the charts this year, more than ever before. And, it's just one of the things that's next man up, and whoever that may be, it's their time to shine.
Last man standing, first man up, right?
That's right, exactly.
Okay, Coach, well, thank you again for taking time to talk to me again this year, and good luck on Friday night.
All right, thanks, man.